The 3/3 discipleship process provides a format that you can use that accomplishes discipleship, evangelism, leadership development, using the scriptures as your source of truth. And the goal for this is obedience-based discipleship. You leave this study with having studied the scriptures yourselves, with something to obey, a person to share with, and you're going to come back the next week and be held accountable for what you learned. And it's going to prompt obedience, and it's going to prompt sharing with others, which are things that are often missing in our small group. The 3/3, it's a very simple format. There's 3 parts. There's looking back, looking upward, and looking forward. The first part, looking back, has got a few different elements. The first part is care, just having everybody share, what was a highlight, what was a challenge from your week, and let's keep that to a bullet point instead of a life story, because we got a lot to get through. If you're not careful, that can end up taking up a lot of time. But we want to have the opportunity to just kind of share from one another's lives, to be involved in one another's lives, and to really be able to care for each other. The second part is worship, being able to really just focus on and respond to God. And you can do this in the form of singing and in the reading of a psalm and talking about the attributes of God, but you really want to focus the group on Christ and who he is, and just respond to him as a group. The third part of looking back is accountability. This is a really important piece. And a lot of times you hear accountability, it's like, okay, what did I look at on the internet this week, or what is I kind with my wife? And you're going to cover those things as you're looking at the scriptures, but this accountability is very specific. It's did you fish and did you follow? Did you fish? Did you share with somebody else this week? Did you share the gospel? Did you engage with a lost person? And did you follow? Did you obey what you said you're going to obey from the scriptures, from our last lesson? That's going to push towards radical obedience. And it's a really important part to have. It's one that people often like to skip over, but if you want to see growth, you want to see multiplication, you got to have that fish and follow accountability piece. And the fourth part of looking back is vision, and just casting vision for big picture, or what are we doing, and how's what we're doing fit into God's vision, and also just like some stories to kind of encourage people to keep moving forward in what they're doing, so help them see the vision of what we're doing here. The second part of the 3/3, the second third, is looking up. And this is one of the most critical parts. This is the Bible study. It's a new lesson. And most of the lessons are a simple inductive examination of the scriptures, where it's a group participation, that you're reading the passage, you're asking questions to kind of unearth what's in there, to engage. And you're not studying for knowledge. This is so important. You're not studying for knowledge. A lot of our Bible says we're trying to get as much knowledge as we can, or we're listening to a sermon to get as much knowledge as we can. Our goal for this study is to find something to obey, because we want to obey Christ. And there's a number of different inductive methods that you can use, but the goal is to really unearth what's in there. An example that I love to give is when we're living in our neighborhood. I drive in and out of my neighborhood every single day, and so I'm pretty familiar with what's in my neighborhood. But then when I go on a bike ride with my wife and my kids, I begin to see more of what's in my neighborhood, see more like, oh, I didn't know they got those flowers there. You begin to just see more of what's in your neighborhood. But then when I go on a walk with my wife, I see all kinds of things. I'm engaging with people. Okay, so you're seeing more. That's what we're wanting to do with the scriptures, is we want to do some inductive study rather than just, oh yeah, I read that verse. I know that we're really slowing down, engaging with the scriptures to see what's in there, asking questions, getting answers with the goal of finding something to obey. Which moves us on to the third, which is looking forward. And you want to practice the lesson to make sure that the trainees know how to teach the lesson to the people that they're engaging with. But you also want to set goals. And in setting goals, it's very simple. You're looking for, who am I going to fish? Who's somebody you're going to share with this week? Somebody you're going to share the lesson to, a lost person you're going to share the gospel with this week. And then follow. What is something specifically from this passage that you're going to trust the Holy Spirit to obey? Because obedience is going to lead to fruit and growth. Okay? And then the last part of looking forward is prayer. And just praying together. What we like to do is to assign each person to pray for the person on their right. That way, you know that you're being prayed for by this person, and you're praying for that person. You're linked together in prayer until the next meeting. So 3/3 process, look back, look up, look forward, accomplishes discipleship, is used for evangelism, is used for leadership development, and it accomplishes growth in the belief that leads to the multiplication of disciples and groups and form into churches.